Hello, everybody, on this fine Sunday evening. We're back. Last week had some family things to do, so couldn't do the show last week. Some people calling us out for having no passion, but anyways, we're here, and I kind of thought tonight there's a lot of negativity swirling around this game, so I thought let's try to be positive and let's see if we could do that tonight. But as always, I'm not going to do that by myself. Somebody else shares the burden of trying to turn this negative into a positive. Everybody say hi to everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Ed. How you doing, Ed?
Oh, Peter, just trying to deal with this loss.
Woe is
But
me.
yeah, wonk wonk. But you know what?
Eeyore.
There
Little
is,
Eeyore
yeah,
going on there.
there is some positivity, I guess, and
Always.
we're gonna try to cover that. By
We're going
golly.
to try to find it, and also I want everybody else in the chat to kind of try to find some positive thoughts and stuff like that as well. Obviously, I know
Yeah.
that there's other games going on now, so thank you for those of you that are joining us live, and we'll get into all that in just a few minutes. But let's first start off by saying thank you to our sponsor, and that is Caneswear. Caneswear is where you need to go to get all your Inter Miami gear. They have the messiest wall in all of South Florida. So go hang out there at Caneswear in Davie, Florida. If it's on University just south of 595. If that's too far for you to go to caneswear.com. All orders over $99 ship for free, and use the code FMTV10 to save 10% on your order. They also, with the Panthers having won the Stanley Cup, they've had meet and greets with players in their store. So if you want to get any Panthers gear, that's a good place to go there as well. So
Yeah, get some stuff at Kingswear. That's where I get my stuff. I got this shirt at Kingswear.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. And they're generally cheaper than at the stadium. So then they don't have everything that the stadium has. So if you want to still shop at the stadium, you can, but you can plenty of good deals to be found at Caneswear. So go and do that. But anyways, all right, here we go. We got only a couple people in the chat right now, but if you're listening and you want to get active, um, please do so. And they're slowly trotting in. Everybody. First
Slowly
off,
but surely. Don't call me Shirley.
yeah. Sometimes people, you got to give them a few minutes to get in. You got to give everybody a few minutes to get in. But start off, first person I see in here is One World One Goal. Brad is here as well. We'll get back to his comment in a second. Nick Smith is here, and Louis Rodriguez. And Louis could be, I don't want to say he can be negative because that's generally Esteban Dito's job, but but he can be critical at times. So it'll be interesting to get everybody's thoughts as we go through this. But look, Inter Miami made it to the round of 16. If I told you, Ed, before this tournament started that we would make it to the round of 16, would you be happy?
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected us to get out of the early rounds, man. I just, when we made that, I was like, wow, it's already a success because we
There you
got that far.
go. There you go. A few more people popping in. Battered Herons grilling some burgers after pool day. Watch. You were in the pool today, Chris? I mean, it was cloudy as hell here. I thought about dipping into the pool today, but it was so cloudy and a little bit rainy today. But you got little kids. They don't care about clouds.
Oh yeah.
Guyver's here as well. Wendy is here. I'm not going to try to say your last name. So there. All right. So we don't usually kind of start off with voicemails, but there is a good voicemail in the queue already from an old friend, and he kind of brings up a little bit, hits on some of the topics that we want to touch on tonight, and the big kind of topic that was used in the thumbnail as far as success in defeat, right? So how can this be considered a success? And so let's go to an early voicemail.
It's time for your voicemail.
Hello?
What's up, mi gente? It's your boy, old Yankee Yank. I gotta tell you, TV and Tio,
you know I got mad love for you. I'm very curious after I saw the thumbnail about why this tournament you consider it such a huge success for Inter Miami. I'm going to sit back, listen, and learn. Y'all know I keep it real. Y'all know I hate your club,
Hate.
but I love PB. I love
Hate.
PO. I love the family from the show, especially family that goes back to Ultras Alive. I haven't really had a big appetite for this tournament. Straight up. I've had zero appetite for this tournament. But I have paid a little bit of attention just to see what you guys are doing, just to check in, see what the MLS clubs are doing. And it will be a learning experience again as y'all shed light on how it was such a huge success for your club. I mean, you did better than the other MLS clubs. Another thing that I don't really like about this tournament or FIFA, and I've gotten real tired of it, is them running players into the ground. I know business is business, but at a certain point, you can't keep running dudes into the ground, grabbing money. I mean, I know we're in a capitalist society, and that's how stuff works, which leads me to my next question. Why in the world, after the game was lost with PSG, and it was clear the game was lost, did your coach, unless I got it wrong, only make 2 subs when dudes are being run into the ground, and Allen came off like in the 19th minute or something? So help me to please understand that too. Mad love for all y'all. Holler at you later, players.
All right, Yankee boy, old school fan. Hey, look, background. Yankee is from Maryland. He used to send me some pictures of his house in the snow, and I would send pictures of, like, you know, the beach in the wintertime, you know. But so he's from Maryland. He's a big Puerto Rico soccer supporter. But I didn't know there was so much hatred towards Inter Miami. I mean, I knew he wasn't necessarily the biggest fan, but he likes what we do, right? And so I didn't realize there was so much hatred in his heart, and hatred in his heart for this club. I can't hear you, Ed. So Ed's seems like he might be having.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
All right, there he is.
My bad. My bad. No, I was saying I thought maybe he was a Strikers fan, and maybe that's what led him to us. No.
No, I mean, back in the day, what led him to us, I think, is more so just he liked the at the time USL, the lower leagues, USL and NASL and all that kind of stuff, and we covered that. So back before we had an MLS team, or after we had an MLS team, before we had another MLS team. But anyway, so there's a few points there, but let's start with, how is this a positive? I mean, it's being said in here already that from like Louis Rodriguez, Miami being the only team of MLS to reach round of 16 and only MLS team beating a European club in the official tournament. Positive number one. That's a positive. Getting to this point, we did not. Here was my biggest concern coming into this tournament, is that we would be embarrassed. Everybody that asked me something about this, I was like, oh, we're going to get destroyed. We're going to be destroyed because we didn't go into this tournament playing particularly well. And so I was like, we're going to get destroyed. We did not get destroyed. I know 4-0 sounds like a destruction. But keep in mind, PSG did the same thing to other European clubs. They did the same thing to Madrid. I think it was 4-0. Wasn't it Milan or something in the Champions League final where they beat them 5-0? So we're in good company. We're in good company. What I was concerned was it was going to go to 10-0 or something, because that's what it was looking like. So the fact that we did not get destroyed is a positive, right, Ed?
Oh yeah, man. It looked really bad for a second, and I was just, I was suffering through the first half. Looking at that, I was just like, oh man, and the second half is still coming. End it now, please. Pull the plug. But yeah, man. Thankfully, somehow I ended up watching the second half. We looked better in the second half. I was hoping, and Messi was close to scoring one with a header that was, that went straight at the keeper. But I was hoping we would at least score one. It didn't happen, but we looked a lot better in the second half, and it's probably because they felt bad for us, you know.
Well, that's what Brad is basically saying. Thank God PSG decided to pump the brakes. Otherwise, this game would have ended 7-0 or 8-0. And that's what I was afraid of. I don't know if they really pumped the brakes. I don't know. Did they? Is okay. Here's a little conspiracy theory I just thought of right now. Could it be that these players still idolize or are friends with? They were either teammates with previously. I think a couple of those players were teammates with Messi, or they idolize him still. Could they have pumped the brakes technically to not embarrass maybe their idol? Could there be a little bit of that? There was, and I forgot the player's name, but there was a PSG player that exchanged jersey with Messi. So could there be a little bit of a mercy in there? Now, I don't think players play like that. But if we want to go down,
what you did there. I see what you did there, Mercy. You know, the French throwing that French in there, Peter.
Oh, that was completely accidental.
Merci.
Oh, this is funny. This is a funny comment. I don't know if he's a comedian, but he's sure acting like one. Football Edit says that San Jose earthquakes are better. Well, they weren't there. So guess what? They're not. The funny thing is that there are so many comments of people saying, hey, we didn't earn our place there. We shouldn't have been there. Yeah. But guess what? We did better than everybody else. We did better than every other, MLS team. Eric Thomas saying something here. Let's see what Eric says. We may have gotten our peaches kicked today, but we broke 3 records. The first MLS team to beat a UEFA team in FIFA sanctioned tournament, first team to win a game in the Club World Cup, and the first MLS. So, Brad also saying that the first half was embarrassing, though, to be honest. Seattle Sounders gave PSG a better game. And actually, that Seattle Sounders game gave me a little bit of hope because I was like, well, they only beat. But then again, wasn't that Sounders game PSG's third game? If they're taking their foot off the brake, it's that game. I think that was their third game, wasn't it? So they're already in. So. They're already into the next round. So that's when you put in your back.
Yeah, they put in their extra dues and have a couple extra minutes but yeah, they let us have it, and that's for sure. I mean, it could have been worse, like you said.
Yeah. To add to Eric's comment, team advanced to the knockout round. Okay, the only MLS team. He's telling me to read the next comment, so I'm following orders. So that was and also to Yankees' question about. We'll probably go out of order here a little bit because we always go on tangents. Substitutions. I agree with Yankee on that. I mean, Mascherano seems to have been doing better lately. Maybe I don't know. We just a month ago, we were saying we should fire him, right? So, but how does my boy Fafa Picard not get into this game?
Because I was calling for him big time. There were some players that should not be with the team anymore, Peter, like Toto Aviles, who was as soon as he walked in, he got a yellow card.
He wasn't even on the field for 30 seconds, and he got a yellow card. I mean, not even 30 seconds, and he gets a yellow card. Ridiculous. Terrible. So he's got to go. He's got to go.
That he just keeps proving the reason why he should go.
But in that situation, I don't blame Mascherano for putting Aviles in. He had no choice. Allen goes down in the 19th minute. He has no choice. Who else is he going to put in there? But later in the game, when there are tired legs, potentially. I mean, I don't even know if they would have made a difference, but at least they get into the game and try to make something happen, right? Fafa is that guy. And I don't care what anybody says to me because people come at me sometimes saying, I wasted my money putting him on the back of my shirt and all that kind of stuff. I love the kid. He's not even a kid anymore. He's getting up there.
He's a kid for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm old. Hey, here, sobering comment, thought. This came up. I saw this recently that, You know the show The Golden Girls. Remember the Golden Girls? How they look super old, the Golden Girls, right? Didn't they look super old in that show? You know, they
They
were
did.
portraying people to be in their 50s.
Really?
That's what I
Wow.
was they were I was listening to some other show that I listened to, and they were saying that. And I'm like, they aged really bad in the 80s, or you know, we're aging pretty good. Because
Well, no. If you really think about it, I remember when I was a kid and people in their 60s, they were like ready to go, man.
yeah,
They were
yeah, yeah,
just
they look like they're like 90.
the
We're aging better.
expiration date was right there. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
people
All right.
nowadays, I mean,
So
it's
Fafa
crazy.
should have come in. Kromoski did come in. That was good. Obando, why not give him a chance? Suarez didn't do a whole lot. Um, you know, I know he's being a little more assist type stuff, but Obando, get him. Let's see what the kid. He doesn't get any playing time. Why is he on the field? I know people say, well, because he sucks. Well, then why is he on the team? Same thing would go
Right.
for Ryan Saylor, and I think um, Franco Panizo put this thought in my head. I think he was the one that tweeted out, why not put Ryan Saylor in, just because, hey, he could say I played in this game, right? You got nothing
Right.
to lose. And he doesn't get any playing time. I would assume he's not with a team next year. Why take up a roster spot on something that's you know, never going to see the field? I mean, not
Right.
even like you're a young up and coming, because he's already in his, I don't know his exact age, but he's in his mid 20s. He's been on the team forever already, and he can't get on the field. So,
They-
you know,
I
there's
think that
players there that, you know, that should have gotten some time. Rodriguez, Baltazar Rodriguez,
he got some minutes the other day, though.
he did, but in this game, would it have made sense to make wholesale changes to get people in
Right.
the game?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Peter Brown. But yeah, somebody had mentioned earlier that at least we made $21 million while Inter Miami did. I wonder what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, where was that comment? Yeah. Here, Nick Smith had said, tournament was a huge success for us. Too bad we don't get all that 21 million for ourselves. I don't know if we actually get any as a club with MLS rules and how they control everything. I mean, that is a solid question, because they are single entity ownership. Where does that money really go? You would assume it goes to the club. It doesn't go to the players, because the players only get, according to the CBA, they get $1 million, not each, $1 million to split. And so, and it doesn't, regardless of where they go in, and unless something changed. I mean, because there was some negotiating going on before this, before this tournament happened, or as it was happening. Francisco thinks that MLS gets a big cut. MLS franchise and MLS gets big cut, I guess is what he means. ... franchise, MLS. Battered Herons Chris was commenting on the bench. Almost all the players on the bench, aside from Kromoski, Fafa, and Abeles, will never see the pitch. And why have them on the team? Because even when players go down and are injured, you're not putting them in. I don't know. If you're not going to have them on the field, then fill the team full of academy kids, right? People that are getting their first shot. At least they're training in the professional environment. They're going to be there every single day, and you have hopes that one day they are the future, right? And if some catastrophe happens, they'll get their minutes. But someone like Sailor's probably doesn't have a lot left in his MLS career, because he's not playing. I mean, he's young enough to keep going. He was a draft pick, so he's still in his 20s. But if I'm Saylor, I want to play because these are my best years. Now, I heard he likes it in South Florida, so he doesn't want to go anywhere. But he should go play for a championship club. He should play in the USL. So
yeah, well, you can still probably make it to another MLS team that'll give him some minutes, because I don't think he's that bad.
He wasn't bad.
He's just not going to get any chance with Inter Miami. He needs to go to another Major League Soccer team, or like you said, USL. He'll definitely be a starter there.
But Oh, we're talking Ronaldo talking there. Storm Bugsy's a Ronaldo fan. All right, whatever. Don't care. I don't care about any of these players that aren't playing for Inter Miami. Look, this is going to sound offensive, but if Messi wasn't on our team, I wouldn't care about him either. I mean, why would I? I'm not Argentinian. I mean, why would I care? But he plays for my club, so I care.
Don't hate the gringo.
I care about who's on my club, and that's it. Or, or on my national team, right? Because that's technically your other club, right? But
which is playing, I think, right?
Yeah, they're playing. Yeah. But again, going back to the positives, because there's so many ways to go down negative, because even Francisco is commenting, and he's not wrong, that Inter Miami let go of good players: Gregory, Gressel, Taylor, Capana. I mean, these are all part of the, these are all part of, some of the MLS rules and things like that, in order to, to afford players like Messi and Busquets and all that stuff, you're going to have to cut some players. So,
throwing tomatoes at you, Peter.
Apparently, Eric's afraid that I'm going to get some tomatoes thrown at me because I talked something about, not liking players that don't play for my team. One World, One Goal saying, yep. And Mrs. Peter Brown, being Brazilian, wouldn't care either. I know, yeah, I'm not really allowed to like Argentinians in this house unless they play for my club, right? So, but let's go. There's some more positives that we can get through, but there is another voicemail, so let's get to that voicemail as well.
Hey, Peter and Uncle Ed and all the great fans out there. And Yankee Boy called in. Love him. These dudes have been doing a podcast since, I don't know, I want to say 2004, 2006, whatever. So dedicated fans, diehard fans. We're the best fans in the world. I always say that. And my Diego Sarna 17 always says that. Drink if you're playing a drinking game. And, because I mention his name a lot. Anywho, I'm like you. I was a little frustrated. We hoped that, we'd lose gracefully, 2-0, or miraculously win, on penalties or some crazy storybook ending. But it doesn't always happen in soccer. And congratulations to Sir David Beckham, who is now been knighted by the king. Yeah. And he, of course, has very good ties playing at PSG himself. And he was there. They gave him a PSG shirt, and
I didn't like that.
There's a whole video about that. So, the world is very different from our wonderful Fusion days. We would have never dreamed playing against a big European club like this, although we would have beat them with our guys. But it's so much about selling shirts and marketing and branding, and we love Beckham, we love Messi, but. It's a different world. It's not going down to the pub with the players and having a beer. It's big business now, and we're all a little frustrated, that MLS has not invested, but, NFL football is king, and the MLS is still owned and controlled by many, many NFL owners that are very powerful businessmen, and, it's not the same vision that you have in Europe or South America, and it's going to be hard for us to compete, but let's hope they ramp up things better for the World Cup next year. But 94 was awesome, got to tell you. Not that I'm that old. Anyway, love you guys. Love the show. Peace out.
So One World, One Goal kind of leads me to another kind of one of my points that I had in my mind, and I put in the ticker, is MLS Wake Up, right? So that to me is another positive. So you can look at this game, being a negative, but at the same time, that negativity can be used in a sense, I think, as a positive, in that it can show the other owners what is necessary to compete at the highest level. Don Garber likes to go around saying that he wants us to be one of the top leagues in the world. He said that for a long time now. He wants to be one of the top leagues. Well, you don't get to be the top league when you're spending something like $40 million on your payroll, and the team you're playing against is spending something like 700 million, whatever the number is. I did a quick Google search, and it basically was saying from last year's numbers that PSG's payroll is 16 times bigger than ours.
I had the number around here. I'm checking on my phone real quick, but yeah, they totally outspend us, and no wonder we can't get a good defense,
Right.
man. It's just crazy the
So,
amount of money that.
Could this tournament showing first off that, hey, we did go pretty far, but we're the only team that got that far, and because we signed one of arguably the best player on earth, right? So you sign him, and there's not a lot of those players out there, but it shows when you spend, you could go farther, and then it shows, yeah, but you still didn't spend enough. You still didn't spend enough. So,
Peter, I just looked it up. They pay 790 million euros compared to our measly $65 million.
So there you go.
Notice the dollar is less than the euro, so that's
not much. I mean,
like
they're pretty close nowadays, but
yeah, 800 million at least that they're probably spending dollars compared to our 65 measly million dollars.
Right. So this can be used. Now, I don't know if it will, but it can be used, and it should be used with the people like Jorge Mas. There is a younger crop, and I don't want to say young, but newer crop of MLS owners that want to spend, and some of those old owners are cashing out. Vancouver's up for sale because they say that they can't really compete. Montreal may be up for sale at some point. There's rumors.
Montreal doesn't spend. They spend the very minimum.
So, and maybe next week we'll go through the Players Association. The numbers came out. I thought today let's talk about Club World Cup, but the numbers did come out. If what everybody's paying, and the Montreal is the lowest paying. They spend the least. They spend the least. We spend the most. They spend the least, and that's actually our next game. So that's our next game, July 5th in Montreal. So like One World is saying here, we should have at least added one DP per team once Messi signed in the MLS. Now, I think a lot of us thought that this would happen, that they would, but they didn't. But this tournament can show you that you have to, and you don't necessarily have to do it overnight. I think it was Alexi Lalas that I saw in a tweet. I think it was him or somebody else maybe commenting on his post, but there was a comment basically saying you don't need to do it overnight. You could just increase the salary cap, because look, I don't think salary cap goes anywhere. It's very American. We're an American league. You just need to raise it really high, right? Think of NFL numbers, right? It's up there. But if they just raise the salary cap, I don't know, I'm just going to make up a number, but like $5 million a year for the next, say, 10 years, we're in a better place. Are we still competing with PSG? No. Maybe it needs to be more than 5 million. Maybe it needs to be 10 million. Whatever the number is, I'm just throwing numbers out. Whatever the number is, they just increase that salary cap. But they also need a salary basement. And I've talked about that before, is to stop the teams like Colorado from Montreal and all these other clubs that refuse to spend, so that they have to at least spend some more. They have to spend more. So, but what Alexi was actually talking about in his tweet was basically like all these rules that MLS has gotten them to this point. And it's done a great job to provide stability, to teach them how to be responsible soccer owners, because they weren't in the 70s and 80s. So it was great. It got them to this far. 30 years. It got them a long way. Okay, now it's time to take those training wheels off. They're not little owners anymore. These are all billionaires. These are all NFL team. They either own NFL teams or they could if they wanted, right? They're all, they got the money. It's not about money.
Yeah,
it's about how much do they want to do.
Like you said, taking the training wheels off. It's time. Yeah, the league could do. We need to start competing. We need to destroy that Mexican league, man. They still got our names.
Yeah, and that's coming up as the speaking of another tournament. This is to another point that Yankee brought up. Too many tournaments, maybe the players are overworked. League's Cup is right around the corner. Starts at the end of July. So that's going to then become a priority. And you could say, well, it's not a priority because MLS Cup is a priority. Well, it's going to be a priority, I think, at least for that 1 month.
Right.
You know, it's going to be a priority. So unless of course
win.
somebody gets hurt and things like that.
They need to win something, Peter, because we're, you know, how many tournaments have we? We've already lost 2 tournaments.
Yeah. Well, to me, the Messi era would be deemed a failure, whether it's true or not. I think would be deemed a failure if we don't get a star above our crest at some point during his career with us. We assume he's going to re-sign for another year or 2. That's the rumors, and that's the deal's close. The deal is supposedly close. His deal is obviously very complicated because it involves Fanatics, it involves Adidas, it involves Apple, it involves a lot more than just. I mean, look at the Club World Cup. All the commercials are Messi commercials.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid.
He's banking.
Yeah.
But and I heard, they're talking about maybe just an extra year. You know, to sign up. I mean, that's why not 2? I would be surprised if it's just 1 extra year.
Maybe that's all he wants to do, one at a time. I don't know, but we need to win MLS Cup this year or next, assuming he's with us next year. But I mean, he's not getting any younger, you know. So we definitely. Somebody was saying, could we win the MLS Cup? I think that was a question here. Nick Smith was asking. So far, we have no evidence we can defeat a low block. Oh, this was not the question. I thought it was, but we can't defeat a low block, which is what almost every team in MLS plays against. Until then, nothing in league play has changed. Well, our defense has been an issue since the beginning of this club. I mean, doesn't matter who the players are.
We should have won it last year. We were the best team in Major League Soccer, and this year I think we're just a tad bit lower.
Brad was saying, do we have a chance to win MLS Cup? From what I've seen, I don't think so. I think we have a chance. Look at what this team did in the Club World Cup. We have a chance. So
Peter, you're saying there's a chance.
I'm always saying there's a chance. I'm always saying there's a chance. I'm not always saying there's a chance that we're going to win every game, because you guys will chat me and I'm like, yeah, loss.
Yeah.
But so with this game though, I did lose $10 on it though, because I did put $10 on the Hard Rock bet thing, because if I won, it was going to get me 750. I was like, that's worth a risk. I was like, it's $10, whatever. I don't care. It's fine. I can afford $10. I'm not going to be I'm not one of those people that's going to put 100, 200, 300, but a few bucks here and there just for fun. It's just entertainment. Why not? But One World, One Goal mentions these August windows signings need to ball out. So there is talk about players that we're going to sign. Who was that? You were chatting recently, a player that you thought we're in talks with.
Marcos,
defensive.
The defensive. Who was the defensive one? By golly,
you chatted it. I'm trying to remember. It was an older guy as well.
Yeah, I know about Rojo that they were talking about, but people, at least Marco on the Spanish show is saying he doesn't want him.
Marcos Rojo, released from Boca Juniors, is currently a free agent. Okay, but he's a midfielder?
Yeah, he's a midfielder.
Okay.
But basically a playmaker-ish type of player. But, I'm looking to see if I could...
Do we need a playmaker?
No, we don't, Peter. What we need is defense, and that's the reason why we lost so bad today, because our defense was terrible. I don't want to mention Toto again, but he's the guy to blame. He can score a goal, but unfortunately it was on us. Yeah,
Yeah.
see that? Nick Smith is saying Rojo is 35, dude.
So he's perfect for us. He 100% fits our model.
No, don't get
He
him.
came from Argentina. He's old.
Check.
Double check. I mean, let's write a check and just give it to him. I mean, he fits.
Yeah.
Hey, look, at this point, 35 sounds young. So,
Golden Girls. Girls, right? Yeah.
Brad thinks that Busquets has been so overwhelming this year. I feel like he always goes under the radar because people always look at Suarez.
He actually did a couple of good moves. They did a video. It was on. I think I saw it on Twitter X now, where he was making good moves. He could get away from players still. But yeah, one of the goals was his fault.
Yep. I'm done with Busquets. I think he's done well for us, but next year I hope he does not come back. We need to move on from him, and we need to move on from Suarez. We're gonna keep Alba, and let's keep Suarez, and then we could bring in his another old guy in Rojo.
Yeah, I think Suarez is pretty much done. It looks like. I mean, the guy's a great goal scorer. He does great assists, but he doesn't come back and defend, and we need players that can run all over the place. So
Eric is saying more like underwhelming, which is what I think he meant. That's why I think I had a hard time reading that chat, because I was like, didn't make sense to me. Yeah. So I think there are definitely positives that could be pulled out of this. At the end of the day, we did not get embarrassed. I'm proud to wear the colors around town. I'm not embarrassed. I'm good with that. Yeah, that's it. Here was another thing that I thought was so cool. Now, you could, and this is where I was going, Sports Shorts, get young players. Our current young players is where I was going to go. I was watching this game and I couldn't help. And maybe it's because I'm a dad and I'm old and all this kind of stuff, but I'm looking at like players like Noah Allen, Kremoski being on the field, looking at those two guys and just going, those are local South Florida kids. What I think Allen came from Pembroke Pines and Kremoski from like Key Biscayne area. I mean, how amazing is it for these young guys? I mean, we used to bag on Noah Allen just saying he was not the right person, and he grew into that role, and he's been awesome. Was he outclassed? Well, yeah. I mean, Noah Allen's making what? I don't have it in front of me, but he's making under 200,000 playing against a guy that's making several million, right?
But the kid's still good, man. He's got a good career ahead of him. So don't.
How proud are you of the local stuff? That just tells you the talent, and that's where I saw some people making comments, and they're just stupid because they don't know the league. They're saying, this league needs to develop young players. Look at what we're doing. Ruiz probably would have gotten playing time too had he been healthy, because he was on that same path as Kremoski. He was getting the same amount of time until he got injured. So these young guys that were growing up, I mean, they're just, it's promising. It's really promising. And I was just like, man, what must it feel like for those young guys just walking out onto that pitch playing against PSG, I mean.
Yeah. Well, Ian Frey's another player that's incredibly good.
Right. I forgot about Ian Frey. He also got injured, but man, and that's it. Going back to the MLS Cup, I mean, we got so many injuries. Ian Frey's hurt again. I mean,
yeah.
What was his injury? It was a sports hernia. Is that what it was?
I think so. I can't keep up with all these injuries, man. We're
I know.
Getting, hurt all over the place. We just didn't have our bench, which just wasn't that deep. I mean, we were forced to put Toto on the field, so
yeah,
it is what it is.
Brad asks a legit question: would today's game have gone differently if Alba didn't play? Were they better against Palmeiras without Alba?
They did play really good, but Alba, I think he's a positive. I mean,
I don't know how if he's healthy. I don't know how you could put him on the bench.
Right.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
I mean,
bit of a player, man. He'll make a difference. But I'm thinking, I don't know who it was. I think maybe Marco who said play him as a midfielder
midfielder,
because he's better up top.
which
Because
they've
by the
done
time
before. They've
yeah,
done it.
yeah. And have and Noah back there on his side in the back.
Quasar says, if Miami surround Messi with fast, young, technical players, they could win a few tournaments easy while Messi's still here. I 100% agree, but then it doesn't look like that's the MO for this team. And I don't know if it's because they're allowing Messi too much control, because that's the rumor that he's the one pulling all the strings. It sure looks like it. So is it, will that happen? That does make sense. What Quasar's saying makes sense. Put in some, young players or even some MLS journeymen, people that are proven to win in this league, but that could do the dirty work for him and all that kind of stuff. But Busquets, as good as he is still at times he still is. People can run past him easily. He made a boneheaded mistake in this game.
Yeah,
Here,
they took the ball away from him.
Moxa is saying, agreed, Busquets is a big issue for us. So slow that you have to be careful who you paired him with. Anytime we face a pacey midfield, we get cooked. Agreed.
Yeah, and that's another player that teams up with him that also got injured. Bright. Great player, and he's the one that best matches up with him because he does all the dirty work in the back and lets Busquets go forward. But he's another player that got hurt.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, if we had all these healthy players, we would have beat PSG. I mean, it was a long shot to begin with. But I did have some fun dreaming and thinking of maybe it was possible. But at the very least, you want to have your best players out there. And I think Bright, we all, most of us agree that Bright is greater than Redondo. Redondo's fine.
Yeah.
Bright's just better. And, and
Marco was saying yesterday in the Spanish show, in the preview, that he doesn't want Redondo anymore. He's just that critical against him. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Redondo. I think Redondo's fine. He's just not great, but he's fine. I have no problem putting Redondo on the field when someone else is injured, right? He is not my go-to. He's not my number one, but he could be my number two. He's good, and he's still young. He's still learning some stuff. But people like we talked about, like Aviles on the other hand, he's young, and they spent a lot of money on him. I forgot the exact number, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $6 million to get the kid. So that they don't want to give up on him. That's for sure. But he's got to go. We're losing David Martinez. It would have made sense. He would have been good to bring into the game. Now, he's on the bench, so he was dressed, even though his contract is not getting, he was on loan. They're not going to buy him. So he's going back. But
yeah,
I guess
he's a better player. I think he played with Peluca a game, and they meshed really well, man. I like the way that they played together. And
so you could have put him in, even though this would be his last game with Inter Miami. Like from what we understand, he's not going to be back. Like that, it's done. So it's not even like, oh, he's got a couple more weeks. From what I understand, he's done. So Brad feels like Redondo has actually been good in this tournament. He just can't do it against physical midfielders. Yeah, I don't hate on Redondo. I just think Bright's better. I'm not with Marco.
You know what? Talk about Marco again. I was saying, he was criticizing Mascherano a lot.
All Ed's thoughts and opinions are Marco's. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, well, this is mine right here. It's coming up right here. I was telling Marco that I think, since he was complaining about Mascherano so much, that he's terrible. He doesn't like the way that he coaches. He shouldn't have played these players. He would have preferred Kremaski instead of Redondo.
Yeah, I agree that
why don't we have Messi as the player coach, Peter Brown?
Player coach, there's
teams that do that in England.
Still,
it could happen. Yeah, we should do it.
Who's our old friend, Thomas Rongen? Thomas Rongen.
Yes.
He did that, but this was in the 80s. Thomas Rongen was a player coach, and we had him on this show, and I asked him that question that, hey, I have a core memory, as being a young man watching him sub himself in because he was pissed off on the sideline, and he finally puts on his uniform and says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. And we asked him, is my memory correct, or is this just one of those made up memories you think is real because it's been in your head for so many years? He goes, oh yeah, no, that happened a lot. So, but you don't see that. You don't see that anymore. What I would just want Messi to do is, we talk about bringing in like a number 10 or something like that. I think you were saying Rojo is kind of like that kind of 10 player, right? Or a creative midfielder. Instead of doing that, put Messi in that position. Yeah, Messi drops back now a lot anyways. And he can still score goals as the play's moving up. He'll move up and he'll just be where he needs to be. But he needs to be more the 10 and give me two younger. I mean, one could be more experienced and one can be younger, whatever, not a Suarez, but give me two solid forwards up there. I'm not saying that Messi's not a good forward. I just think at this stage of his career, he could do more for the team as the number 10 because he's kind of doing it anyways.
Yeah, I hear you.
Matza thinks that Allende would be a better 9 instead of Suarez. He is not a midfielder or a winger.
He could score.
He has of gone into there was a couple times where he played as a 9 because I think Suarez came out of the game or something. Something happened. It's happened a couple times. Or just the way the play moves, he ends up in that position. I don't think in the Paris game, I don't think Allende had the best, at least not the best first. I mean, he kept getting stopped. Like they were trying to go down that right-hand side and he was getting nowhere with it. But that's just, he was just outclassed. I guess,
that first half we were outclassed so bad, man. We could not get anything forward, and I think we didn't have a shot until the second half, Peter.
I know. But what can you do? So coming out of this tournament, do you think, I said they could look at it as a positive. Do you, because it could wake up MLS. The negative could be used in a positive way, right? Just, it sucks. You got defeated. You did not get embarrassed, but you got defeated. If you spend more money, you might have a better chance. And it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to necessarily just start spending money next week and be a Paris Saint-Germain. But does anybody in the chat, do you think that MLS will actually wake up? I know that Jorge Mas has been pushing for it. He feels confident that it will open up more. But do you think there'll actually be any changes? And again, it won't be tomorrow, but maybe next year. Can we see some incremental changes? What do you think, Ed?
I'm hoping at least an extra DP. And yes, every time that we hear anything from Jorge Mas, he wants to have a competitive team. And that's what I love about him, because he wants to spend the money. He wants to bring great players. He wants to be a championship team every year if possible. I like hearing that. And sell T-shirts. But, I'd hate to be like in Montreal, who, those owners' ages, they already gave up a couple years ago, man. I hate it for the fans because they have mediocre teams. This year, their team is like the worst because they won't spend money. And those owners are pretty wealthy, man. But I think they gave up already.
Yeah, and some of these owners, like the guy from Colorado, Kroenke, I mean, he's got the correct change. He owns the
he's got the right change in his pocket. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he owns or he used to at least, the NHL team. He also owns a team over in Europe. So I mean, he's got the correct change. He's just choosing to not spend it. Nick Smith answering the question says MLS will do nothing. Most owners don't want to spend. But see, I don't know if that's fully accurate now, the word most. I just don't know. I think the tide is changing, and I don't know if the word most. I think there's so many newer owners now that do want to spend. and they may be right now the vocal minority, but I don't know about the word most. I don't know. You know what? I'd have to sit down and kind of look at like historically who are the lowest spenders, and then just go, okay, obviously this owner's against it, right? So
Yeah.
who are those?
Maybe we should do the next show and see, start criticizing which owners want to and which don't.
Yeah, we can. That means I got to do a little homework, but I could do it. But I think the tide is changing, especially when there's teams for sale and new owners are coming in. Nick, backing up his point, says they want parity, which won't be the case if they open it up.
Parity
and
is what he said.
Eric agrees with Nick that Nick Smith is right. MLS owners are notoriously cheap and selfish. I just think that tide is changing. I think the tide is changing. Look, I know our owners want to spend, and they're there's always rumors every year that they're going to open up the purse strings a little bit, and it just kind of gets kicked down the can, just keeps getting kicked down the road. I think at some point, because they keep talking about okay, so look, then they have a decision to make. They need to stop saying we want to be one of the top leagues in the world and just saying we're content to be a solid,
mediocre,
fifth sporting option in this country. Right? I mean, in the pro, what we got? NFL number 1. Would you go NBA number 2 nowadays? Maybe.
Yeah.
Baseball number 3, NHL, and then us. Right? Yeah. I mean, so are these league owners content being the fifth?
We're number 5. Watch this if you want to.
You're the fifth.
We're there for you.
Yeah, you're the 5th league in this country, and maybe the 20th or below that in the world. Because sometimes the rankings, like, we're really good at the business side. They've proven that, the building stadiums and things like that, but not so much on the playing side, and that's. I'm just saying they got to stop saying we want to be the best if they're not going to try to be the best.
Exactly. And what's going to happen once Messi's gone, man? Is the league going to go through a depression? Are we going to have to get psychologists over here and try to help all the fans out to try to support these mediocre teams? It's going to be tough.
They just need to learn from this Messi experiment and find the next Messi. Do it themselves. I mean, you're not going to find another Messi, okay? But the next best thing, the next best available player, right? And every team should have at least one of those. And I'm with some of the people in the chat that I'm always banging my head against the wall that, I don't want all the old guys, but I'm okay with having one marquee old guy, right? I get that. But that's just again going back to being a t-shirt company, right? Are we interested more about being a t-shirt company and selling a lot of shirts because it's got a good name on the back, or do you actually want to win tournaments? If you want to actually win tournaments, you've got to actually open up the purse string so that you could sign those other players that are going to be young and circle around Messi and do all that hard work, but are still, maybe they're not PSG quality, but I mean, still better than what we got, right? Quasar says, MLS is Tottenham. They sitting on 13th place, and they get some profit because they not spending much. All for profit.
They're just coasting and getting a check. Is that what that's what he's saying? And a lot of these owners are just sitting back because we still got those, franchise fees coming in. So they're just sitting back getting that sweet, easy money, Peter Brown. Sweet, easy money. But that's going to run out. If it hasn't already run out.
Well, here's where it's also going to run out, is because a lot of these owners are making a lot of their money before Messi, right? Because they're making some money there, but they're making their money off new franchises. When a new club comes in, they spend $500 million. It gets spread out amongst the clubs in some form or fashion. I don't know exactly how it breaks down, but you are part of one corporation. You own a percentage of a larger corporation. It's going to get sprinkled out. But that's how the league is really making their money. And at some point, you can't you can't continue expanding.
And that money is going to stop coming in, and then what are you going to have?
Right. So you've got to find other ways to make money. And you know the old saying, it takes money to make money, right? You're going to have to open the purse strings. You're going to have to spend. They need to look at what Miami has done. And not only, and I hate this sometimes when we sometimes seem to be more of a brand than a team, right? I've bitched about that many times. But being in this tournament, getting into the round of 16 really does help with that brand. That pink shirt is iconic. And is it iconic because it's pink? Well, that plays a part. It's mostly iconic because it's got Messi's name on the back and it's pink, right? But it is iconic. And that should show the other clubs that they need to do the same thing. And they got it. I mean, in the current structure, they obviously can because we did. But you need more of those players. You need to open up the purse strings.
But it's going to be tough for some teams. I mean, because how do you sell going to Cincinnati? Sorry, Cincinnati fans, or Colorado, or Salt Lake City. How do you send these incredibly good players to go to those cities? It's kind of tough, man. We're privileged because everybody thinks Miami, sexy.
I mean, but listen,
LA is another, New York.
Okay, in England they've got a ton of big name clubs. I've never been there, so correct me if I'm wrong and I'm an idiot. But like places like Manchester, I don't think it's like that great of a place. I've always heard that's kind of a workers' town.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know what? Okay. It's got so much history, and all these great players have been there.
Yeah, but they had to get them there at some point.
Well, the league was the best and is the best in the world.
But they had to get them there at some point. There are cities in England that have top-notch players that are in a crap town.
The league is just so good.
Okay, but they had to get there somehow. They had to start someplace. It didn't become the number one and then get the players. The players got them there, right?
I hear what you're saying, Peter. It's going to take some time is what you're saying.
It'll take some time, but you may not lure Messi to Cincinnati, but you can lure somebody that is still better than what they currently have. You throw enough money at somebody and they can go. But Brad asking a question. That's a fun question, but we're running out of time, so we're not going to go into it too much. But if you're an MLS owner, would you rather have a club here in the U.S. or one in Europe? Even if it's small, the clubs over there just make more money. Well, welcome to Wrexham kind of showed a lot of people.
I was going to say that. You picked that out of my brain.
I think Rob McElhenney kind of showed everybody that it could be done and that there's value in it. So I mean, Americans were already doing it before them, but they did it like we're taking the poorest team and bringing them up.
Yeah, they've gone through a whole bunch of leagues now. They've gone up. A lot of the owners nowadays, they'll get maybe a team in the Champions. Bring them maybe up one notch, but or some will just buy in the Premiership. They brought it up from nothing basically.
Yeah, but I am curious if there's any research on that. Like, what is the profit margin between an MLS club versus an English club? And I'm not talking the biggest. Like, let's not compare Manchester City, Manchester United, but because that's some of the biggest clubs in the world. But like some of your mid-tier English Premier League teams, like like for example, I know wasn't it the Cleveland Browns or something like that? One of the NFL owners bought Aston Villa, what was it, 10, 15 years ago? I don't even know if he's still the owner.
Yeah.
But like a club like that, like what is the, I guess, and you would have to look at it like not just dollars, like how much they make, but it's like versus investment. So your ROI, what would be your percentage of a rate on return on investment? So that would be an interesting thought.
Somebody was asking what the score is. USA won, Costa Rica won right now, halftime.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I don't even have the channel that's on. It's on Fox, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Canada did Canada. Yeah, I think I saw Richard Greenberg. Oh yeah, Canada lost, man, on penalties against Guatemala, dude.
Mm.
Wow.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. There's some good questions coming in now, comparing us to the Brazil League. Yeah, Brazil League still spends more than we do. They sure do. But I think we could go down a lot of that if we wanted to. But we have a show to do next week, so we could talk some more about that next week. But hopefully, we were able to have a little bit of fun tonight and think about how this negative could be turned into a positive. I don't know if we convinced Yankee Boy here, but we tried.
Yeah.
So, Ed, what's going on with the Spanish channel?
So we might record tonight. I don't know if you've seen the last one. We did a preview of the game. I was actually by a pool. If you guys saw it, if you guys haven't seen, it was kind of cool. It was actually a lot of people tuned in, so I was pretty happy about that. But we should have a show for you guys tomorrow at some time. So check out that, and then we're gonna be talking about Major League Soccer again because the league's coming back. And we'll be able to. I know some people were complaining that we didn't have any videos for the World Cup of clubs, but
we didn't go.
Yeah, it has to do
it
with
gets
this.
expensive, but we will have videos obviously for the MLS games, but we'll also have Leagues Cup because I did buy tickets for that, so I will be there for all 3 of the Leagues Cup games. Nice. They were actually cheaper, Ed. They went. The prices went down. They were not like they were that first year. So
the price is right. That's good.
It was good. All right. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. If you have not checked out our construction video, it's doing pretty good. So go watch it. I think I raised a couple good questions in there. And Eric saying were you wearing a banana hammock by the pool?
No, but tune in and I was wearing.
Maybe you should go and watch and see if Ed is sporting a banana hammock on the Spanish channel.
Check it out.
I don't know. Anyways, go check out the construction video. We did not get the inside tour that the local media got, but if you watch some of those local media, they don't know what they're talking about. So,
like we do, Peter Brown.
we know more. We know more than some of those local media people because some of the questions they asked were. A question was asked, guy did not know the answer, so he dodged around it. And if I don't know something when I'm doing that video, or you don't know something doing that video, we straight up saying, hey, help us out in the chat. We don't know. I don't know anything about construction. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.